happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111. Welcome back, friends. Welcome to all of my new subscribers, and thank you so much for joining me today. I love doing this reading. I think this is probably one of my favorites, and I think it's so useful. Today we are asking, what is the truth of this connection? What's really happening between you and your person? What's going on in this situation? And in these readings, we look at the energies of both counterparts. We look at the divine feminine and what energy she's sitting in, and the same for the divine masculine. We look at how each of you are feeling and thinking about the connection, and then we see what's shifting for you both, what you can expect around the corner, and how you can best prepare for that. So I have 3 piles for you to choose from. In pile number 1, this is a new deck that I've got. I'm absolutely loving it. It's called the Moon Power Tarot with this lovely piece of selenite. In pile number 2, we've got the lovely Omens Tarot with obsidian. And in pile number 3, we've got the Mystic Mondays Tarot with hexagon quartz. So take your time choosing. You can pause the video and douse over them if you want. I personally like to choose from the timestamps and see what the number syncs are like. You can find them in the description box below and in the comments. If you're drawn to more than one pile, it just means that there's messages for more than one pile. Sorry, in more than one pile for you, but just take what resonates. Remember, these are general readings, so you may find that not every single aspect of it resonates for you. Don't try and make it fit. Just take what works for you and leave what doesn't. So I will see you at your pile. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Moon Power Tarot. I'm loving this deck. I got it just recently. And we are asking, what is going on between you and your person? What is the truth of this situation that's going on between you? Now, in these readings, I look at the energies of both counterparts, both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So hold your person in mind. Take a nice long deep breath. Ask the universe for all the messages you need, all the signs. If you want to be specific about the kind of sign you want, you can do that as well. You can ask for an animal, an object, a person, a phrase, a name, numbers, whatever works for you. Now in this reading, I do actually use 3 decks. For the divine feminine, I'm going to use the deck that you've chosen. For the divine masculine, we're using this one, the illest tarot. And for the connecting energies down the middle, we are using the Hyde tarot. So whilst I shuffle these, just to let you know as well, the Hyde tarot is actually the creation of the same illustrator who is helping me create my oracle deck. You can still buy the first edition of this deck. It's absolutely beautiful and it's a dream to shuffle. I will put the links down below. Very excited for my oracle deck. It's coming this spring. Watch this space. Okay, let's give these a good shuffle as well. Now, in these readings, they're not gender specific. That's to say, in your situation, you may be she, he, she, he, whatever works for you. But I will use the gender pronouns she for the divine feminine and he for the divine masculine, primarily because when I'm talking about both counterparts at the same time, it helps to clarify who I'm referring to, but also because if I'm really honest, when I'm channeling, I really struggle to remember the they, them pronouns. So please just adjust the gender pronouns as you see fit. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to move these out of the way. We're going to draw cards. The divine feminine first, and we will be using oracle cards today, and we'll be getting some charms as well for you, so stay tuned. This is going to be a super detailed, super in-depth reading. Okay, and don't forget to make a note in the comments of which pile you've watched today. These are timeless readings. You will invariably be drawn back to it at a later date if you need to be. If you've made a note of which pile you've already watched, you'll know not to go over the same ground again next time. I love how YouTube just seemingly randomly recommends the most perfect readings to us at the right time. So our divine feminine is in Queen of Wands reversed energy. Let's get some more here. There's a Sun in reverse and Empress. And how is she thinking and feeling about this connection? Got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and that's the 8 of Wands in reverse and the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, and what's shifting for this divine feminine? The King of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Cups, and the Two of Swords in reverse. So don't worry about reversals. It's just another way for me to read the cards. Some people panic and think it must be negative, but it really isn't. In fact, none of the tarot cards are either positive or negative. They're just storylines. Okay, let's get some for the masculine. What's the masculine's current energies, please? My guide Arthur has been very vocal recently. Normally, I don't necessarily hear him. He channels through me, but every now and then he commands me to listen. And the last few readings, he's been doing just that. He's my tarot guide, Arthur. He doesn't talk to me about anything else, just the tarot. Right, we've got Knight of Swords for the masculine here. The Fool. Oh, two came out there. I'm going to keep them. And the Tower and the Moon in reverse. Thoughts and feelings is the Five of Cups. The Chariot in reverse. You know the drill. I'll explain that later. It's a bonus card in this deck. The Hermit in reverse for what's shifting. The Devil in reverse. And the Page of Wands in reverse. And for the connecting energies down the middle, we will get some oracle cards as well, but I'm just going to start with what's on the table. We've got Death for connecting energies, for connecting feelings and thoughts. We've got the High Priestess, and for what's shifting, the connecting energy is the Fool in reverse. Okay, pile one. What is going on between you and your person? Straight away, I feel massive transformative energy here. There's been some kind of major shift that I feel has taken you both by surprise. The Divine Feminine, I feel, is very up and down. However, she has turned a corner in respect of recognizing what it means to be in her power. There's a message here that this Divine Feminine needs to be somewhat kinder to herself. There's a huge propensity here to beat yourself up. And in real terms, Arthur's saying that your awareness, you know, is on point. You might not be able to always act upon that awareness, but the awareness is there. And this Divine Feminine has turned a massive corner in terms of understanding how to be in her power. It's just that she's struggling to stay in it. So it feels like this Divine Feminine has let go of chasing this masculine. Not all of the truth is illuminated, and Arthur's saying, please be reassured, it's normal to feel slightly detached sometimes. So if you were wondering, oh God, you know, why don't I feel much for this person anymore? This is a normal cycle or process that you're going through. But this is a Divine Feminine that's stopped chasing, they've stopped flirting, they've stopped trying to tempt their person into action. This is someone who is self-focused. There is an energy here of it's still a lack of confidence, and I'm guided that this comes back to this Divine Feminine's inner voice rather than the circumstances that are presenting. She has a tendency to ruminate about what's going on in this connection, and this is why the truth is not illuminated. And she's her own worst enemy when it comes to that inner dialogue, that inner voice. It's like those thoughts go round and round in circles and end up confusing her unnecessarily. But it does feel like this Divine Feminine's pulled back. This Divine Feminine is... Hold on, just see what Arthur wants to say. It's a big letting go energy. Like, I literally had to breathe out then. It's a huge letting go energy. And Arthur's saying the universe is moving something out of the way for you to create space for what's meant to happen. And so there's no need to worry. He's asking me to bring this Queen of Wands up close. And I want to show you what's happening here, because we've got this kind of beautiful castle here, but there's also this castle in the sky with its very own beating heart. Now, when we refer to castles in the sky, of course, it's a metaphor for daydreaming and, you know, big goals. Sometimes unrealistic goals, and it feels like this Divine Feminine has let go of expectations. You know, she's no longer building these castles in the sky. She's building a castle on the ground. This is a divine feminine that, as I said, is learning to step into her power, is finding power in that independence and solitude, and is overall feeling pretty good, but just generally confused about this connection and what's expected of her. But it definitely feels like she's turned off, like she's repelled, she's turned a corner, and she's developed the courage to step away, to put herself first. The masculine, interestingly, is responding with action. You know, the Knight of Swords is a very action-oriented energy. This is someone that has a strong impulse to charge forward, to communicate, to take action, and to have a new beginning. And this is always the way with this connection. So with these connections, when the divine feminine steps back into her power and is standing still, she's actually creating space for the masculine to come forward. And this is what we see happening here. So you may have noticed that the communication between you is shifting, it's transforming, and you can feel that the energy is different. Your person, the masculine here, is now facing this impulse to chase, to come after you, and they want this new beginning, but there is a great deal of fear here. Now, it does feel like this masculine is in a bit of a rough spot. We've got the moon in reverse here, and the tower came up to clarify it. Now, when the moon comes up in reverse, especially for someone's present energy, this demonstrates a huge amount of confusion, and not just confusion, but anxiety and fear, disillusion, and just not being sure of what lays ahead. And so this person's a bit stuck. They may want to rush forward, but you may find that they're actually still blowing hot and cold and still very unsure of themselves. And all of this fear, I'm hearing, is a reflection of what the feminine is experiencing in terms of the thoughts that go around in the head, the rumination. And look, we've got this person here covering their ears, not listening to that person by their side. You know, I feel like both of you read so much between the lines that you don't actually hear what the other is saying. So there hasn't been enough direct communication in the past. I feel like the divine feminine has led here with some authenticity, but overall this feels like two people that dance around the real topic, and no one is really showing up in a very vulnerable or real state. But for sure, this masculine is feeling the urge to communicate, the urge to start over, but is currently disabled from doing that by their own fears. You know, the tower in reverse is this impending sense of doom, this, you know, this sense that if they take a step forward, everything's going to collapse, they might get rejected, you know, it's not going to work out. And so this is what keeps them stuck. And I'm hearing this isn't new energy for them. This is an ongoing pattern and cycle. This person may struggle with depression or anxiety, or, you know, those really challenging energies that they can't quite shift. Again, transformative energies here. The connecting energy is death. And when the death card comes up in a love reading, that is a really massive sign that one thing is closing out and another thing is beginning. And so what we really see is that these two have turned a corner. This is a brand new chapter. The energy has shifted in a dramatic way. And it, you know, remember that change isn't always comfortable. And so it does feel like this shift has rocked the boat somewhat, and both counterparts are feeling a bit wobbly. And so Spirit wants to reassure you that things are moving in the right direction, and that this is a really positive turn of energy. It's a really positive change. In terms of thoughts or feelings, this divine feminine really has let go. We've got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Eight of Wands in reverse. This is someone that's now taking the attitude that it's your job to heal yourself. It's not my job. I'm looking after me. Knock yourself out. You know, this divine feminine has gone from being perhaps overgiving, you know, very focused on healing her masculine, very focused on nurturing them, demonstrating unconditional love, affection, and recognize now that, you know, they can't receive something they don't have for themselves. This is a divine feminine that's moving into self-love in such an empowering way that she is now recognizing her inability to transform, heal, and change her counterpart. She's now seeing they have to do this. And there is the energy of boredom here as well, kind of like, oh, you know, I've tried hard enough there, and I've learned now that I can't change this person, that they have to do that. Even this decision that the divine feminine made has created space for that to happen. Like I said, we see here this divine masculine, you know, wanting to take action, wanting to communicate, wanting this new beginning. But for sure, it's because the divine feminine has created space for this by truly letting go of expectations, by truly recognizing that this masculine isn't ready. And so the communication here might be stilted. You know, this divine feminine doesn't know what to say anymore. When she's not showing up as this nurturing, affectionate person, of course she has the opportunity to show up as a real friend, but it feels like quite complicated energy because there's still expectation over here, and it feels like the divine feminine is feeling the pressure of that. But with the Wheel of Fortune here, again, this is a divine feminine that is trusting. This is a divine feminine that is seeing that the universe is aligned with what she needs. It's taking care of everything, and she just has to learn to flow with it. So there's a real energy of surrender and acceptance here, of having really moved forward in a very empowering way, recognize the futile nature of her attempts to change the masculine, and again, in having moved into that energy, the masculine is now triggered to take action. But he's feeling quite grief-stricken about this. This masculine is confused about the sudden change in the feminine. He doesn't understand why she's pulled back. He doesn't understand why her energy has gone from being nurturing and loving and, you know, devoted to just being perhaps even somewhat avoidant, you know, or just kind of careless energy, just not as engaged, not as interested as usual. It's very self-focused. And this has triggered the masculine in a really big way. They're feeling very rejected. It's brought up a lot of old grief wounds and patterns, and they're not very, you know, they're not knowing how to deal with this. You know, this has created a great deal of panic, restlessness, and anxiety for this masculine. All they recognize is that their feminine is pulled back, and they genuinely think they've lost. Now, this isn't a bad thing, because again, you know, there's huge transformation here. And what I'm hearing is that this masculine needed that soul shock. They needed to realize that they couldn't continue the way they were in this connection. And that if it's something they want, they're going to have to step up and create change. But I think this actually compounds the anxiety they feel, because they don't know how to change. The 5 is a transformative number, but in the 5 of Cups, the person is so focused on grief, so focused on the difficult energies, that they're unable to actually move forward and turn that corner. When the Chariot comes up in reverse, that's someone who lacks drive and lacks enthusiasm. And remember, we had this fear and depression with the Moon in reverse. You know, the Chariot is in reverse is someone that knows they need to take action, but they just feel so empty. They don't know where to begin, and there's no drive there to actually allow it to happen. There's no inspired action kind of bubbling under the surface. There's an impulse, but it's not big enough a spark to actually create the change that needs to happen. So they are very stuck. You know the drill. This is actually a bonus card in this deck. See, it's got Luke Perry in it here. And this is pretty much, you know the score. And the fact that this energy is blocked, I think, just really confirms that this person doesn't know what step to take next. And so, you know, they're feeling pretty blue about this. They're feeling very alone. They're feeling very dejected. You know, they don't understand why the feminine's pulled back. I don't think there's been a real deep conversation about it, but I'm hearing that somewhere in the past, the divine feminine has been pretty clear that I'm not sticking around for this anymore. You know, we can be friends, and I don't think the masculine took it seriously. It feels like the masculine felt really confident, perhaps overly confident in their position. And because that was the case, that allowed them to just not show up, not give anything. So this divine feminine pulling back sends a very clear message to the masculine. Sadly, they haven't got, the confidence and strength and know how to act upon it yet. But again, this is positive news, because that transformation is in motion. The connecting energies here are the dog, the High Priestess represented by the dog. But I want to remind you that the dog is a symbol of companionship and loyalty. And so I do think overall that both of you really respect and value the deep nature of the friendship that exists here. And I think even though your person's feeling very insecure in your feelings when it comes to feelings of a romantic nature, they do know that you've got their back, but it does sting them that maybe you don't want them in the way you used to. They know you're there for them and they know you care. There's definitely a great deal of respect, mutual understanding for what is going on between you. They know there's a deep, deep care there, and a lovely, lovely and very real friendship. But losing you romantically is almost too much for their very fragile ego to bear right now. There's a very intuitive connection here with the High Priestess as well. You know, this refers to telepathic communication, intuitive communication, astral communication. You're probably showing up in this person's dreams. You know, they're definitely picking up on your stream of consciousness and vice versa. So both of you do feel very connected to the other, but this masculine is now learning about separation in the way this divine feminine did, and they don't understand yet that separation is an illusion. So even though they can feel you with them, you know, they really are feeling the anguish of having lost you. I'm guided back to this card here as well. Remember that death card is a transformation, but it's represented here as the statue. And Arthur's saying it may appear that things are standing still. It may appear that not much is happening at all, but this transformation is big, it's deep, and it is happening beneath the surface. Even if you can't see it right now, it doesn't mean it's not there. In terms of what's shifting, we've got two Queens in reverse, the Divine Feminine, followed by the King of Cups in reverse. Now, for me, when the King of Cups is in reverse, it's a very secretive energy. And this Divine Feminine isn't making any decisions moving forward. You know, this is a Divine Feminine that's trying to stay in her power, not try and, you know, not ruminate too much about what's happening. But she has kind of decided that she needs to be more engaged. And as I said, it feels like she's pulled back. The masculine has really felt the pain of this, but we see her here showing up as the Knight of Cups. And even though she's not charging forward, she is offering her cup. She's sending love. And so it does feel like there's a powerful message and guidance here connected to the energy of friendship and showing up. You know, I think the suggestion is that your masculine is definitely very triggered, and that a heartfelt conversation is perhaps in order. You know, how are you feeling? What's up? I don't think this Divine Feminine has been deliberately avoidant. She's just felt less interested and engaged than usual. But we definitely see her moving back into a more soothing and affectionate energy in the near future, but perhaps not as, what's the word? Not as direct as the masculine would hope. This is a Divine Feminine that's recognizing that she doesn't have to spill all of the beans. You know, she can share what needs to be shared. And so there's a much more measured energy about her communication now. But with this Two of Swords in reverse, this is definitely someone that's not in a rush to make any decisions. As I said, this Divine Feminine is going with the flow, taking each day as it comes, but keeping her secrets close to her chest, keeping her feelings under her hat, you know, not giving the full game away. And I think it's really important to reference that there is still some kind of game happening here. It's not intentional, but this Divine Feminine is so empowered by this sudden ease with which she's detached and disengaged from this connection that she's still buzzing off it. You know, the energy still isn't balanced. This is why the truth isn't illuminated, and this Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles is coming up in reverse. And again, my guides are reminding you that it's normal to swing from one extreme to the other while you're trying to find that center point. So you've moved out of chasing energy and you've gone quite strongly into a runner avoidant energy, a very masculine energy, in fact. So this Divine Feminine is kind of bringing that into balance, but in a very, very measured way. You know, she's learning not to be impulsive. She's learning to be aware of her own triggers and the root of her desires. You know, this isn't a Divine Feminine that is stuck in the same confused chasing cycle. And as I said, even though that energy is not easy to master at this stage, Arthur's reminding you again, this awareness that you have now is powerful. This awareness is what indicates your growth and your ability now to move forward in a very, very productive way. The masculine's definitely coming out of some period of withdrawal, but I'm hearing that this is going to be slow moving. It feels like there's some kind of substance abuse or addiction issue here with this masculine, and definitely some kind of serious withdrawal related to their social network, their, you know, how they interact with other people in their zone of awareness. They may, I know we're in lockdown at the moment, but it feels like they've been deliberately avoidant when it comes to just generally being in and around people. And there's a great deal of focus on the change that's required here for themselves and for the connection, is what I'm hearing. There is a small energy of resistance here because this person's feeling so vulnerable right now. They are feeling so triggered, so rejected. When they move into that energy, you know, they respond in kind. And because this divine feminine has been showing up in a much more measured way, not exactly cold, but not as warm, affectionate and nurturing as usual, then this masculine has also pulled back. And there's a resistance towards the connection as much as there is an impulse to drive it forward. So this is definitely a battle they're having with themselves. You know, they want to release not just the addiction energies that they're working with, but they're recognizing how they've leaned on this connection as well to prop up their ego. Now, Arthur's saying it's not really a misguided step. You know, they do need to recognize their own codependence in this connection, and they hadn't previously, but they're feeling very vulnerable in it at this stage. I'm hearing this person's just a mess. I'm not sure what kind of substance is here, but the first one that came up was weed. Alcohol definitely feels present, but, you know, take what works for you. It won't resonate for everyone. But yeah, then just not feeling very, very sociable. And so again, this kind of thwarts their attempts to actually move this connection forward. There's a desire to, there's an impulse to, but they just don't feel safe acting on it. They don't know how to act on it. This person hasn't got a clue what the next step is. They feel quite stuck. They're feeling vulnerable. And overall, I don't think this has had the grandest effect on their behaviours. You may have felt them recede in terms of affection as well. It definitely feels like they may have been deliberately obnoxious or more passive aggressive than usual, because they're kind of wriggling for control again, trying to get themselves back on an equal footing. Certainly this divine feminine pulling back has taken them by surprise, because they always felt that her devotion was bigger than theirs, and so that they were safe. And now that that seems to have wavered and it doesn't appear that that is the truth any longer, they are absolutely stuck. It's like their world's been turned upside down. They can't find their feet, and they simply don't know what to do next. You know, in real terms, with this connecting energy here being the Fool in reverse, there isn't going to be a new beginning anytime soon. And what I'm hearing is that there does need to be a period of integration. The divine feminine is moving from the awareness of knowing to the state of being. You know, all of this awareness that she has now is beginning to manifest as her reality, but that's a cycle of change that she needs space to move through. And so even though this divine feminine may feel some pressure to kind of keep the communication going or smooth things over, you know, Arthur's saying you've got to trust that everything is as it's meant to be. It's all moving as it's meant to. Again, there's an indication of this divine feminine to release guilt. And remember, that Knight of Cups was all about just coming forward with quite gentle, friendly energy. So, you know, I think overall, definitely positive shifts, but nothing major happening in regards to union energies, but lots happening at an individual level with both of these counterparts cycling through very, very new chapters on this journey. So let's see what the guidance is for you too. This is the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine Reunited deck. If you're interested in what decks I'm using, I do always list them in the description box below. We're going to get a ton of oracle cards. Right, for the feminine, we've got grief and anger. And for the masculine, we've got God of vulnerability. From the Divine Abundance Oracle, we've got right action and your path. And for masculine, we've got reframe and receiving. And from the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, we've got completion and quest. And finally, this is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. We've got the Otter and the Wolf. And I'm going to get some charms for you in a moment as well. Oh, keep those ones that fell out. Let's see what we've got here. We have got, writer. We've got why. We've got don't overthink it. We've got the FBI badge with the Fox Mulder X-Files reference, Simpsons. We've got the Loners Club. Rose tinted glasses. And the Game Boy. Okay. So I feel like even though this Divine Feminine's turned a corner, she's very triggered because this new layer of awareness has really demonstrated the games that were occurring in this connection. And now that she's showing up with more integrity and she's not playing those games, she's recognizing this constant cycle and pattern that the Divine Masculine is still stuck in. And I'm hearing this is a real turn off for her. It really infuriates her, which is in part why she's been able to step away and step aside from the grief, from the anger, from the frustration. It feels like Spirit is reminding you again that you have turned a corner and that you're not necessarily going to be plunged back into that same game. You have broken that pattern. And I know it's frustrating that they haven't, and it's kind of ugly that you're still seeing them act it out and project it, but this Divine Feminine has closed that cycle. Again, you know, number 10 is the number of completion, and we've got completion here as well. And it literally is like the old you has moved on. The old you has ceased to exist. You know, this is a brand new Divine Feminine taking the right action and on the right path. You know, with the Otter energy as well, this is someone that's busy. You know, this is someone that has a plan. And even right action here, it says, aparigraha literally means let everything that wants to go, go, and everything that wants to come, come. And this is the energy, this Divine Feminine, and it's powerful. In acceptance of whatever is. This is true surrender energy. And again, with this Otter, so enthusiastic, so driven, so busy working on herself, so busy focusing on this path. The message here says, dear Lord, help me trust that there's a plan far beyond what I can see through my fears and illusions. And so remember, this is about getting out of your head, not allowing that inner dialogue to keep wrapping you up in circles. It's confusing you. You know, there's definitely a message there that, you know, I wrote about this on my community page recently. It might help you to check it out. But I wrote about this, and, you know, the message there was, you are not that voice. You are the soul that is aware of that voice. So when those unhelpful thoughts come in, you know, you've got to be able to tackle them. You've got to wrestle back control. The masculine, God of vulnerability. This is also number 10, and Achilles. And remember, we said how vulnerable they feel. You know, so they are somewhat defensive, but their journey starts now. I'm hearing that the work this Divine Feminine has done has created room for the Divine Masculine to start taking steps forward in the right direction. And so they are on their own mission. And again, you know, this boils back to how right now you are both doing what's right for yourselves, you know, rather than the feminine being focused on the masculine, vice versa. I do think, as far as guidance is concerned, that it would help you to gently reframe the situation with the masculine. Again, they're confused. They've felt this pullback. They've felt this disengagement. I know that this Divine Feminine, you know, isn't wanting to show up with all the feels. She's not wanting to be that direct or to really stir the pot. But there is, again, a suggestion here that this masculine would really benefit from understanding that this is just a process, that this is happening for them and not to them, that it's a gift. And we've got receiving. Every day it becomes easier to receive the highest divine plan and to trust my inner guidance. You know, this person is more tapped into their own intuitive process than I think you give them credit for. I think they can be very secretive about the nature of this connection and their own experience of it, and their kind of own spiritual beliefs, and, you know, how they're feeling into everything. But they are starting to trust. And again, because you've stopped bombarding them with love, you know, they've got to learn to receive it now. They weren't getting it anyway. You know that you try to love this person better. You try to love them enough to make them feel good. And you've recognized that you can't do that. You can't give them something they don't have themselves. Love is self-fulfilling. It's already in us. And to receive it in equal measure, you know, we have to be able to open that inflow channel. We have to be able to open ourselves up to receive it, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And this is the energy that's coming through here. And again, we've got that lone wolf energy. Remember, like the dog energy, it is loyal. It is a loyal and trusted companion. But sometimes the wolf needs to walk solo. And it does feel that you're very motivated, both of you, to do exactly that right now. Big, big energies, pile one. The rose-tinted glasses are off for the divine feminine, and this is why you feel detached, and maybe why some of the magic is dissipated from this connection, because that spark of interest is no longer with you. You're now seeing it as it really is. You're now seeing that your masculine doesn't match up to your sense of worth and value. You're seeing that your masculine isn't capable of treating you the way you need and want to be treated, and so that's no longer an attractive prospect to you. You're no longer prepared to compromise your values, your self-worth for someone who isn't healthy and can't meet you halfway on the bridge. So this is very powerful. Again, trust in these transformative energies. You are making beautiful and powerful progress, pile one. The writer. This is going to mean different things for different people watching this, I feel. The strongest thing that's coming through for guidance is that some of you may find it beneficial to journal and to write to help you develop more awareness around your own feelings, thoughts, actions and behaviours. It definitely feels like that inner voice can trip you up sometimes. It comes up again here as don't overthink it. And what I'm hearing is that for some of you, journaling or expressing yourself in the 3D, getting it out in words or on paper, really helps you to, you know, feel into your own, I guess, your own story and your own truth from a more objective perspective. When we just go round and round in our head, sometimes it's not as easy to anchor the truth. When we get it all out of us on paper, when we express it, it kind of brings it out in a way that we're able to reflect on from a much more objective perspective. And this feels like what some of you are being called to do. For other of you, there is a message here to literally write a book, to write down your experience. And if this is a sign you've had already, then that's one you need to take seriously. Why? Your person still doesn't understand why. And again, that's that message here about reframing things. You know, I feel like they're probably not going to be very receptive to meeting up right now. Remember, we see them still stuck in this hermit energy, not feeling sociable, feeling withdrawn, still dealing with their own dramas, you know, still very much in this loner club. So it doesn't feel like this person is, you know, coming out of that anytime soon. There is a message here to respect their need for space. It does feel like the divine feminine is more than comfortable to do that. But with this FBI badge, you know, for me, this is always someone that's sneaking and snooping. And that's that devil energy that they're trying to release, this obsession with you. I'm hearing for some of you as well that this person, for some of you, they have assumed that your sudden silence, your sudden pulling back is because you have met someone else. And this is why they're doing a lot of sneaking and snooping. You know, they're feeling very insecure, very vulnerable, very worried that you have moved on. And again, it may help to reframe that and to explain what's happening. You know, I've turned a corner. It doesn't mean I don't care anymore, but it means that I need to focus on me, and this gives you space to focus on yourself. But, you know, I still care. I'm still here. It might help just to settle their twisted mind, because they are overthinking this and jumping to lots of conclusions. Okay, pile one, I really hope that was helpful. I'm going to take this over to the extended reading now. We're going to go a bit deeper. We're going to get some messages from your person as well. I want to get messages from both counterparts as to how they can best support the other. And of course, we're going to go deeper on the guidance and what's shifting. So if this has resonated for you and you'd like to join me over there, you can find all the information and the links to that in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you joining me here. I appreciate all of your likes and all of your comments, and thank you for subscribing. That means we can be friends, and I will see you next time. So thank you for tuning in, happy souls. I will see you next time. Don't forget to check out my website at happysouls1111.com. You can book spirit release therapy with me there. Most of my classes are sold out at the moment, but if you would like to be the first to know when I announce new classes and when I open my diary for bookings, please make sure you sign up to the mailing list on my website, and you will be one of the first to know. Okay, take care. Bye. Hello, part 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Black Obsidian with the lovely Omens Tarot, and we are asking today, what is the truth of this connection? What's really going on between you and your person? Big energies for you, part 2. I had to take a nice long deep breath in. It actually caught in my throat. Okay. So when I do these readings, we're looking at the energies of both counterparts. We're looking at divine feminine energies. We're looking at the divine masculine energies. We're looking at how each of them is sitting in their energy presently. We're looking at what they're thinking and feeling about one another and the connection. And we're looking at what's shifting. And of course, we're going to get some guidance cards. This is a nice, detailed, in-depth reading. We're going to get some charms as well. So stay tuned. Now, I do use 3 decks when I do this reading, because we look at the energies of both counterparts and the connecting energies. So for the divine feminine, we're going to use the deck you've chosen, Lovely Omens. For the divine masculine, we're going to use this deck. This is the Illest Tarot. And for the connecting energies, we are using the Hyde Tarot. So I'm going to give these both a good shuffle. Now, just to give you a heads up, when I'm reading, just in this reading specifically, I will refer to the divine feminine as she and the divine masculine as he. However, these are not gender specific readings. So, you know, please don't worry. I only use these just so we can help differentiate between the counterparts I'm discussing. In your situation, it could be he, she, you know, he could be the masculine, she could be the feminine, whatever works for you. So please just adjust the pronouns as you see fit. And make sure you ask for a sign. The universe always delivers one, usually, when you ask. That could be anything, an animal, a symbol. My nose has started running as well since I've started this reading, quite spontaneously. What's that about? It's some kind of release, big releasing energy, big purge energy. Okay, let's give all these a good shuffle, and then we'll get the cards out for you. Oracle cards and charms as well. Okay, let's move these out of the way. We're going to do the feminine's cards first. So what is the current energies for this divine feminine, please? We've got the 7 of Wands. Just move that here where we can see it. We've got the 5 of Wands in reverse. And the King of Wands in reverse. And what's this divine feminine thinking and feeling about the counterpart in the situation? We've got the Hierophant, the Star in reverse, and the 2 of Wands. And what's shifting for this divine feminine? 2 of Cups in reverse, 5 of Pentacles, and 2 of Pentacles. Okay, let's get some cards to the masculine. So what are the current energies for our divine masculine, please? 3 of Swords in reverse, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Star in reverse. That's interesting. Star in reverse has come up for both parties. And how's the masculine feeling about the feminine in this situation? Knight of Wands in reverse, 6 of Pentacles, wow, and the Hermit. And what's shifting for this divine masculine? 3 of Cups in reverse, Queen of Wands in reverse, and Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay, and what's the connecting energies here? So the present energy, the connecting card is the Moon, represented here as the Bull. Connecting feelings, we have got the Mouse, and That's the Seven of Pentacles. And for what's shifting, we have the Seven of Swords represented here as the leaves. Okay. So we're going to get some oracle cards and charms as well, but let's start with what's on the table. Pile 2, as I said, there's a big energy of release here. I'm drawn immediately to the masculine side because it's really interesting how their energy is presenting right now. This masculine is very triggered. They've moved out of a third-party situation, is what I'm hearing. For some of them, that may still be in the final stages of completion. The Queen of Pentacles often represents like spouse energy or, you know, long-term partner energy. But I feel like this is very much directed at the feminine. This is someone that's coming out of a karmic situation, perhaps a third-party situation. They're releasing old patterns, closing out old cycles, and they're stepping into this very responsible, very nurturing energy. Now, there's a lot of earth energy here. We've got the bull representing Taurus. We've got Capricorn and Virgo represented as well on the masculine side. We've also got Taurus on the feminine side, and there's a tremendous amount of fire for this feminine. So that's Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. But definitely lots of fire and earth energy here. Yeah, this masculine, he's closing out a cycle, and there's something renewed about his energy. There is something here. Okay, so I'm picking up the energy of regret and the energy of wishful and productive thought processes. So this person's reflecting on what has gone on between both of you, and they're now in the energy, I really need to fix this. I need to make this okay. I need to show up and repair the damage that I have done. However, with the star coming up in reverse, they are not confident that they can see this through to fruition. They are feeling very triggered. They're feeling very vulnerable. This is someone who's anticipating that it's too late. They've already dropped the ball and there is no picking it up. But there is this desire to. There's a recognition of what they have done wrong and a desire to put it right. For the feminine, I feel like this feminine's had enough. And do you know what? There was a similar energy in part 1. This one, honestly, isn't quite as evolved. I do feel like there's been a long separation between these two people. There probably hasn't been communication for a while. And this divine feminine probably isn't receptive for it. So I don't think that this masculine's being overly... I don't think he's being overly concerned. I think he's genuinely picking up on a very real stream of consciousness as far as this divine feminine's concerned, that she's really not interested. Her barriers are up and she is done. You know, this is the energy of, I'm not playing that game anymore. You know, I'm bored of that cycle. I'm bored of the dishonesty. I'm bored of the deceit. You know, I just want to do my own thing. This isn't a divine feminine in their power, and this is what I mean by it's slightly less evolved than the part 1 reading, because this divine feminine hasn't moved into surrender stage. They're in the energy of rejection and resistance, and that's to say the reason they've pulled back and erected this barrier is because they feel so scared. They feel vulnerable. They don't trust this person. You know, this person has shown them time and time again that, you know, they're not going to follow through. And so this divine feminine has finally got the message and battened down the hatches and kind of like, do you know what? I can't keep facing up to the same cycle, the same dysfunctional cycle anymore. I'm not playing these games anymore, you know. And so it's not necessarily about trying to control the situation by, you know, ending communication and playing games. It's more about, you know, I just don't want to play, full stop. I really am tired. I'm done. And so I think this is why the masculine is so triggered. You know, they sense this shift. They sense this energy. Unfortunately, it's short-lived because, you know, this divine feminine is in this energy because of an imbalance. As I said, they've gone from chaser energy and they've moved into the opposite extreme and avoidant energy, What they need to be is obviously in the middle, balanced. And so they're not able to meet that center point yet. They kind of swing from one extreme to another. And that push-pull energy persists in this connection. I feel it has done for a really long time. But the greatest obstacle here has for sure been that this masculine has been wrapping up some karma. As I said, for some of you, this is a third-party situation. You may or may not be aware that this has been rumbling on for some time, but you may or may not be aware that this was actually coming to a close. As I said, because I don't think there's been any communication, I feel like this feminine hasn't got all of the information. But this masculine is definitely moving into this energy of, oh my God, what have I done? I've really screwed this up. I really need to fix this. But as I said, they're not confident that they can do that. The connecting energy here is the moon, also represented as the bull. And if you ask me, the bull's a contradiction to moon energy, because there's something very stable and sturdy. Oh, my little dog's come to see you. Hello, Pip. There's something very sturdy and stable about the energy of the bull, and yet the moon represents fear and illusion. It's also connected to our intuition and trusting steps in the dark. As I said, for me, this belies that deep fear of trusting one another. You know, the masculine doesn't feel confident. He understands why the feminine is probably, you know, very, very defensive and cautious, but neither one of them trusts themselves or trust this connection. There's a deep sense of confusion, a deep energy of, you know, how do I make this work? It feels like the divine feminine is resigned rather than surrendered. You know, she's kind of talked herself into this idea that this isn't going to happen. It's never going to happen. You are crazy. You know, this person's with someone else, or they're dealing with something else. They're just not showing up. I've got to draw a line on it from my own sanity. It's the energy of resignation rather than surrender. And this deep kind of fear and mistrust continues to create this push-pull energy. I feel like both people here have been betrayed very badly. There may be abandonment wounds in the family unit as well. Perhaps one or both parents left, but they're not trusting people anyway. This masculine's got a lot of repairing to do. In terms of feelings, the masculine isn't rushing forward in the same impulsive way that they are in the past. And, you know, this is where they're doing things differently this time. Like I said, they know they've stuffed this up and they want to take responsibility. They want to nurture this connection. They want to show up in a reciprocal way. They're recognizing how much the divine feminine has done, and they're recognizing that they cannot continue to play the same game, that if they're going to do this again and be successful, that they've got to show up differently. And so previously I feel they would have showed up all hot under the collar, you know, really kind of sexy, flirty, charismatic, sweeping you off your feet, you know, getting lost in the magic. And this time, you know, it feels like they're showing up in a much more meaningful way. The Knight of Wands is an action-oriented card, but it's also impulsive action. It's thoughtless action. It's someone that's just kind of, you know, jumped on a whim without really considering all of the consequences. And so even this is showing up in reverse. For me, this is a positive sign. This is showing that this person is restraining the urge to rush in and bang you because that's what they really want to do. They're resisting that energy and restraining themselves from repeating old patterns. With the Six of Pentacles here, you know, this person feels like they want to create balance, feels like they want to bring everything back into order. As I said, they're recognizing how much the divine feminine has given, and they want to bring that back to a harmonious place. They want to give as much as they've taken. They want this to be reciprocal and equal. But they are in the energy of deep reflection around this. There's no doubt about it. If you've not heard from this person for a while, you know, you are on their mind. They are thinking about this non-stop, and they're not just thinking about it, they're going deep into their truth. They're going deep into their heart with this Hermit energy. This is someone who doesn't know what to say yet, but is giving a great deal of thought and attention. You know, they're making it a priority to figure this out. So an incredible amount of energy beneath the surface. The divine feminine, I feel, is ready to transition. You know, I feel that this divine feminine really has made a decision to just focus on her power, her journey, her ascension. She daren't believe that this connection could ever come to fruition. So in part, she's let go of the energy of surrender. But as I said, it's the energy of union, but it's a resignation rather than a surrender. It's not okay, I'm going to surrender to whatever is. It's I can't keep feeding myself this union storyline because it's making me crazy with disappointment. And so really that is the first step of surrender. It's resigning to it. But as I said, it's still coming from a place of fear. And this is why we see the star in reverse. Both of them are picking up on one another's insecurities, one another's vulnerabilities and fears. And, you know, they're feeding it into the middle of the connection. But this divine feminine has made a decision. You know, she's choosing the light. She's choosing herself. She still feels like she's not anchored in the energy, and that it's still difficult to choose herself, and she's still tangled up with thoughts and confusion, but she's deliberately avoiding any more drama. You know, it feels like she's at least garnered enough self-worth, enough self-esteem to say no to what was on offer before. And so she's not expecting this masculine to come forward. She's not expecting any changes. I feel like she's going to be genuinely surprised when, you know, this masculine does actually show up with the energy of transformation. The connecting energy here is the Seven of Pentacles, but it's represented as a mouse. Now, remember, the mouse is quite a timid animal. It is quite industrious, but it's small, it's discreet, and, you know, it's generally not seen or heard. They kind of go about their business in quite a private way. And so for connecting energies, the Seven of Pentacles really shows how both of them are invested in their feelings, but are being very quiet about it. Quiet as a mouse, in fact. They're trying not to allow their own hearts and minds to run away with them, to carry them away with this energy. But there's still a very strong connection here. You know, neither party has really checked out, even though they may not literally be in one another's zone of awareness. This is two people who are still very committed to each other in mind and heart. They're just not in one another's present. So, you know, this is a positive sign. It's also the energy of patience. You know, this masculine wants to create change, but he's not in a rush. Remember, that Knight of Wands is that fast-forwarding, impulsive action. But here it's reversed. You know, it's tempered, it's measured, it's slowed down. And this Seven of Pentacles energy is the energy of slow, steady forward paces. You know, it's patiently waiting for the fruit to bloom, for the flower to bloom, recognizing that, you know, there's a saying, the day you plant the seeds is not the day you pick the fruit. And so this divine feminine knows she has her own journey ahead, and that's what she's focused on. She's choosing the light. She's choosing her own path. She doesn't trust in union energy. She doesn't trust that her masculine can actually grow through this. But, you know, when we look at what's shifting, I think she's right not to have too many big expectations right now. As I said, this masculine, he may be gearing up for something, but right now he's in this hermit energy. And in terms of what's shifting, we've got three blocked energies here. Now, when the Three of Pentacles comes up in, the Three of Cups comes up in reverse, for me, this came up in a similar position in pile one. I think it was upright though. But the Three of Cups is a union energy. It's a much more casual kind of social union energy rather than a romantic coming together. But for me, the fact that this has come up blocked indicates that the masculine, as I said, he's probably still wrapping up these old cycles. He's not rushing in yet. Now, I don't think the tarot deck sees more than 3 to 6 months ahead. So certainly in the next 3 to 6 months, this is energy in motion that may not fully come to fruition. There needs to be time, because with these two queens, you know, in reverse, this is someone who's reluctant towards communication and expression. The Queen of Swords is about truth. The Queen of Wands is about drive and passion. And so when these energies are blocked, you know, this is telling us that this person is still processing and integrating their own truth. They're still figuring out not what they want, because they know what they want, but they're figuring out how to make it happen. They're figuring out if it can happen. And more importantly, they're recognizing that they need to self-reflect and make changes within themselves and make a different approach next time. And so I'm hearing that takes time. You know, there is a gap between knowing and being, and they are still navigating, you know, that distance. So I don't see them rushing in yet, you know, but this is an energy that's in motion. evolution. You know, this person's going through these changes, these transformations. They're wrapping up old patterns and cycles with a view to repairing this, but they're certainly not in a hurry to do it. And again, remember, Pentacles is very slow moving energy. For the Divine Feminine, similar kind of energy here. We've got the Two of Cups in reverse. You know, this Divine Feminine certainly isn't chasing any kind of union. And with the Five of Pentacles in reverse here, she's still just working very hard at an independent level, you know, to overcome those shadow aspects, to deal with the rejection pain that she still faces on a daily basis. Even though her barrier's up and she's in this energy of resignation, she's still feeling that burn. And with the Two of Pentacles, you know, she's focused on changing that. You know, she's focused on stepping more into her own power, into her own light. This is a Divine Feminine that's developing awareness. She knows what she needs to do, but she, like him, you know, there's a gap between knowing and being, and both of them are currently integrating a great deal of new information that's going to help them move forward. But, you know, overall, this is really positive to me. I know it doesn't seem like it. I know it seems like not much is happening, but overall, what I'm seeing is huge transformations. And this Divine Feminine, you know, I know Arthur's saying you may be frustrated with yourself, but it's that frustration with self that has led you to this strength that you found. And I'm feeling Leo energy strong with this. It's like the lion standing up and roaring and asserting itself like, no, you know, I will not be taken advantage of. And so that desire to protect yourself, to preserve your own esteem and sanity, has overridden the desire to be with your person. This is what's allowed you to move into runner energy. Remember, that's an imbalance, but Arthur's saying that it's still a step in the right direction, you know, because you're learning restraint, you're learning to face your triggers, you're learning to override those chasing impulses. And you know, even though it's swinging back and forward, this is progress. You're experiencing all of these energies, and at some point it's just gonna, you know, come to center, and you're gonna be a lot more still. The connecting energy here is the Seven of Swords. Now, this is the energy of mistrust. It's also the energy of betrayal and deceit, of secrets, but I'm not picking up a majorly deceitful energy here. I feel like it's more the energy of keeping things under your hat. You know, the leaves are kind of concealing what's beneath, but, you know, they're not, everything's not totally in the dark. This is also a very strategic energy. You know, it's the energy of getting it right, of not acting impulsively so that you can make sure that you don't miss anything. And so it just feels like both of them, again, are being very, very cautious, not overly so. It's definitely required, and learning to kind of protect themselves. This Divine Feminine is learning to tread more carefully, and this masculine is recognizing that if he rushes in and does the same thing he's always done, he's going to get the same result, and it's not going to work. Really big releasing energies here, lots moving. Okay, let's get some oracle cards for you as well, pile one. So this is the Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine Reunited deck. Oh, keep that. So we've got Goddess of Endurance, Persephone. And for the masculine, we've got Codependency. And from the Divine Abundance cards, we've got Ease. And for the masculine, we've got Divine Abundance. From the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, we've got Impatience and Wisdom. And from, oh, keep that one, it fell out. We've got the Dragon for the feminine. This is the Animal Spirit Oracle by the Wild Unknown. And we've got Moth. Let's get some charms as well. Okay, we've got quite a few here. Let's see. We've got the police car. We've got the little FBI badge. Now, this is a Simpsons spin-off of the X-Files with Fox Mulder. We've got the Italy charm. We have got the tape measure. the bullshit remover. We've got empower. And we have got wizard in training. Goddess of endurance, Persephone. Remember, Persephone only sees Hades a portion of the year. She moves between the underworld and the upper world, where she's the goddess of spring, the goddess of nature and new growth. Here she's described as the goddess of endurance, and she's seeing her own strength in the mirror. She's seeing herself rooted and grounded and in her power, in her mirror image. So for me, this is a powerful message of guidance for this divine feminine to stand firm, you know, to keep facing yourself, to recognize that these periods of solitude are what give you the space and the room to really start growing and being you. You know, separation is an illusion anyway, and there's a tremendous amount going on behind the scenes, as we've discovered, that you can't necessarily see or hear or recognize. But this period of solitude is a gift to you, and I do feel that you're recognizing now how much easier that has made it for you to focus on yourself. You know, without that ongoing communication and the drama and the kind of high intensity contact and conflict that existed between you, you've now got the space to grow. You've now got the space to focus on yourself. So you're being asked to release impatience. Remember, this came up here. There's a need here to be patient and to keep an eye on your own intuition and growth. The dragon is a very magical energy. You know, it's a very strong, protective energy. This is spirit reminding you that you are safe. You know, this is spirit saying you don't need to worry. It's easy for me to receive. It's easy for me to receive. It's easy for me to receive. That's Ganesha. You know, he is the god of obstruction. So he removes obstacles for us. And, you know, this is just asking you to continue focusing on yourself. When you love yourself, you open up the receiving love channel in your heart chakra. The heart chakra is just one channel, but it has to carry two streams of energy. It carries the outflow of energy, the energy we give, the love we give, but it has to carry energy in so that we can receive it. If we're not loving ourselves, that channel starts to close up. The energy rushes out because we don't have enough love in us, so we're reaching out of our heart chakra for it instead, and that doesn't leave enough room for us to actually receive it. It's kind of a self-sabotaging energy. So you've got to give yourself love, and you've got to recognize that you have the power to dismantle the obstacles that are stopping you from receiving it. This is the work you're doing right now, Divine Feminine. It's big and it's powerful. You know, and I'm hearing that you've got this. You've got to give yourself more credit for how far you've come. You know, you often don't recognize your own growth and your own greatness. You know, no matter how long this whole journey seems to have gone along, there is never more than what there is now. You know, it's just this. This is all you have to focus on right now, just today. You know, one step, one breath at a time, you just need to focus on today. You know, but you really are growing. As I say, you're developing the ability to observe the situation and to evaluate it, and that's a sign of the high intelligence. You know, you're recognizing that the ego isn't who you really are. It's just your self-image. It's like a mask you wear. It's a role that we play, and that mask thrived on approval. But you're learning to give that to you, and this is opening those channels for you to receive. Yeah, this is the bit that I'm feeling. So no one really discusses how uncomfortable growth is. You know, it's like the part where you've come out of your, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. See if okay. So he's saying it's like, you know, the butterfly. You're no longer a caterpillar, but you've not got your wings yet either. You know, you still haven't figured out exactly who it is that you are or how to take flight. But you are in this period of transformation. You know, you're breaking down. But this isn't the end of you. You know, this is your resurrection. And so you've just got to be patient. It's emotion and trust that you know what you need to know. You know, you've got the information that you need. You don't need to know anything beyond what you need to do today, beyond what's happening today. Really big energies coming through here. It's interesting how your person, you know, we've got this moth energy here for them. You know, this is also about coming out of the dark into the light. Again, this is affirming for me that they really are leaving so many challenging situations behind. And this person is tapped into wisdom. They're tapped into peace. They're tapped into their higher self. Remember, they're in that hermit energy. You know, this is someone that's recognizing the need to grow. This is someone that's also developing awareness around who they are and slowly unpicking that. You know, they've sat with their frustration and pain long enough to recognize where it's rooted, and they're working through that. They're recognizing that they were blaming others and that held them back on their own journey. You know, they're recognizing that the divine feminine is realizing their worth. You know, that her energy is shifting, and that this is, you know, it's more attractive. It's attracting new people into her life. This is what's making them feel quite vulnerable. Look, divine abundance. You were born to align with love's will. Follow the Tao and serve something beyond the ego. Learn to be abundance. Do not chase it. You know, they're recognizing they're more than the career. They're more than the fancy car they drive. You know, they are the person on the inside, the soul. And, you know, that's the beautiful part of self that they need to align with. Codependency has come up again and again. I really feel like this links to a third party situation that they're still chained to. And so, you know, this person does still need some space to work through that. And I feel this is what's inhibiting them from taking action. You know, they don't want to show up and say to you again, oh, I'm still with that person. You know, they want to be able to show up footloose and fancy free, you know. There's a message here for you from their higher self as well about their lack of authentic communication. And they're reminding you that, you know, in dysfunctional families, talking about abuse, neglect, feelings, fears, it wasn't allowed. You know, they weren't allowed to do that. This person hasn't learned how to navigate difficult relationships in a communicative, healthy way. And so they are just reminding you here, you know, that they okay, there's a reminder here as well that the drama that exists between you requires emotional participation from both of you. This dysfunctional family energy exists in both of you. And they're saying that this is an issue that connects you both. They weren't interested in doing the right thing before. You know, their ego was in the wrong place. It's only now that their conscience has kicked in and they're seeing what's right, what's good. Yeah, they're blowing away all the confusion. They're removing the BS. You know, this is someone that wants to show up more authentically. And again, we've got wisdom in the hermit. You know, this is someone that's really fine-tuning their own intuitive skills. You know, this is someone that's quite aware and intuitively develops. They're certainly not a hard skeptic, you know. And this is about the divine feminine. You know, they're feeling that power. They're feeling that strength that's been created in that pull energy when the divine feminine stepped back. It doesn't matter that it's out of balance. It still pushes and pulls the connection. And this is what they're feeling. I never know how to describe the Italia charm. It probably means something specific to you, but for many, I often, you know, think of the country and in terms of what, you know, I know it's a bit of a stereotype, but in terms of what it means, it's warm, it's community and culture oriented. We've got the green heart chakra represented here, the root chakra and the crown. So for me, this is also about connecting to our truth, both from our past into our present, into our higher self. So it is a powerful symbol of energies merging and combining and flowing in a powerful way. You've got two badges here connected to the police, detectives, this kind of thing. For me, this is someone that's investigating. It's being very sneaky. Perhaps there's the energy here as well of some kind of wrongdoing, and they feel like they need to face justice around that. But again, there might be something here that makes more sense to you. Perhaps your person works in the field of criminal law or criminal justice or something like that. But it definitely feels like there's been some wrongdoing that needs to be brought back into balance. This feels like it's at the front of your person's mind. Again, this energy that came through at the beginning, the desire to make things right. The tape measure is always about going slow again, about not rushing in, about not being impulsive. It's at number 4 and 5 is kind of represented here in a dominant way. That's the energy of balance, stability, transformation, and change. And so I just feel like, as I said, even though there may have been a long gap in communication, there may have been a great deal of hostility and kind of, I've moved on, it's done, it's over. In real terms, what we're seeing here is the masculine starting to move towards taking positive action to repair this, and the divine feminine exploring her masculine energies and learning how to let go. For me, this is very powerful, very productive, very beautiful progress. You know, these are two people that are not ready for each other yet, but they're beginning to move towards each other through the exploration they're doing for them of themselves. So I really hope this helped part 2. I'm going to take this over to the extended reading. We're going to go deeper with that. We're going to look more at thoughts and feelings. We're going to get messages from each counterpart. I really want to look at how you can best support one another through this. So if this has resonated for you, you can find a link for the extended in the description box below. Hopefully I'll see you there. But if not, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I hope these readings help. They help me as much as they help you. So thank you for giving me this outlet. I appreciate it so very much. Don't forget to make a note in the comments of which part you've chose. Let me know if it resonated. I love to hear your feedback, and thank you for tapping the like button. Big thanks to all of the happy souls as well that send donations or watch my commercials. I appreciate you guys so much. It really does keep my channel ticking over, and that's such a generous energy exchange, so thank you. If you want to check out my services, you can find it all on my website, which is happysouls1111.com. My classes are sold out at the moment, but I will announce new ones soon. Make sure you're on my mailing list, and you will be the first to know when new classes go live and also when readings are available. So I'll see you next time. Take care, part 2. Bye. Hello, part 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen this beautiful piece of hexagon quartz and the Mystic Mondays Tarot. So I'm going to give these a good shuffle. We are asking today, what is going on in this connection? What is the truth of this situation? Hold your person in mind. Ask Spirit for the messages you need to understand, the messages you need to help you grow and move forward for the highest good of both of you and the connection. You know, be really clear about what it is you want. And if you're not sure what it is you need to know, just say, let me know what I need to know the most. You can also ask for a sign. It really helps to ask for a sign. It helps you trust the messages and validate the messages. So you could ask for an animal, an object, a symbol, anything at all that feels proper to you. A series of numbers, whatever sign feels right to you. Now, when I do these readings, I do actually use 3 decks. For the Divine Feminine energies, I'm going to use the pile you chose. For the Divine Masculine energies, I'm going to use the Illest Tarot. And for the connecting energies down the centre, I'm going to use the High Tarot. So we're looking at how each counterpart is thinking and feeling about the other, what energies each of them is in right now, and also what's shifting for them. So I'm going to give these a shuffle as well. And whilst I'm doing this, again, just take some deep breaths, set your intentions, ask for your signs, ask for your messages, hold your person in mind. Make a note as well of which part you've chosen in the description box below, because I love how YouTube, you know, will recommend the right video for you. At a later date, it may pop this video back up again if there's another message in here that you need later. When you make a note of which part we've watched, it helps us to, you know, not go over the old stuff again. Okay, now, for these readings, I will refer to the Divine Feminine as she and the Divine Masculine as he. However, these are not gender-specific readings. It could be he, or she in your situation, or perhaps the Divine Feminine is a he and the Divine Masculine is a she. Whatever works for you, please adjust the gender pronouns to suit your situation. I use he, she primarily because honestly, when I'm channeling, I forget the they, them. But also when I'm discussing both counterparts, it really helps to, you know, really clearly differentiate who I'm referring to. So please just adjust them according to your specific situation. Right, let's do this. So I'm going to get the Divine Feminine's card out first. What's the current energies to this Divine Feminine, please? We have got the Six of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Chariot in reverse. And we've got the Three of Cups. Do you know what? I know it's just the way it is, but so very recently, when I do these 3-part readings, I keep finding that there's a lot of syncs between the 3 piles. And, you know, you just want them all to be different, don't you? Well, I do anyway. But we're seeing a lot of Divine Feminines in runner energy at the moment. A lot of Divine Feminines resisting, retracting their interest. It's quite similar here. For thoughts and feelings to this Divine Feminine, we've got Ace of Wands in reverse, Queen of Wands and Two of Pentacles. What's shifting for this Divine Feminine? We've got the Seven of Wands, the Two of Wands in reverse, and the Five of Cups. Okay, let's get some cards out for the masculine. What are the current energies of the Divine Masculine, please? We've got the Ten of Cups. Beautiful. We've got the Ten of Wands in reverse. And we've got the Six of Swords in reverse. And the connecting thoughts and feelings. Sorry, thoughts and feelings. The masculine is Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Five of Cups. Eight of Wands in reverse. And what's shifting for this masculine? We've got the Seven of Swords in reverse, the Tower in reverse, and the Knight of Swords. And in the connecting energies, present energy, it's King of Wands in reverse, the Bear. Connecting energies down the middle, it's the Queen of Cups in reverse, the Owl. And for what's shifting, we've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Tiger. Now we're going to get Oracle cards and charms. We're going to go super in depth. But let's work with what's on the table first. I'm just going to check you can see all of these. I believe you can. Okay, and I am recording. I just had a horrible idea then that I didn't. Okay, so path 3. What's the truth of this connection? What's really going on between you? These are such interesting energies. There is a stream of similarity to pile 1 and pile 2, but it's not great. The similarity ends at, you know, this is another Divine Feminine that's in somewhat avoidant energy. But it's still, it's out of balance. This Divine Feminine is, we've got the Six of Pentacles in reverse here. She's done giving. And we saw this same cycle in pile 1 and 2. Of course, when you pull back, the other person pulls forward, but it's not balanced. You know, when someone's coming forward just because you've pulled back, it's not authentic. You know, it's going to spring back the other way. You're going to keep getting that push-pull energy. When the Divine Feminine energy is balanced and still, and the masculinity comes towards it, there's nothing to push or pull against. And so even though there's this pulling back energy, it's not balanced, but it does feel good. That this Divine Feminine is all about having fun right now. I'm hearing that there may be a lot of engaging in distracting behaviours. This is about having fun. I'm hearing for some of these Divine Feminines, you've recently come out of karmic situations or relationships yourself. And so you're still finding your feet, finding your strength, finding your power, your independence. And more importantly, having some much needed let your hair down time. Some much needed fun. These are very liberated, exciting energies. I feel like there's a bit of a party animal energy about this. And even though you're kind of ascension focused, you've not just got your eyes on union energies. You're not just focused on, you know, the divinity in this connection. You're focused on having a good time and finding yourself. This is a Divine Feminine that's pulled her power back, and granted it's not in a balanced way, but it is creating, you know, coming forward energy. Unfortunately, that's not going to be stable. I mean, the masculine is in this 10 of Cups energy. He's feeling the love. But what I'm hearing is he's also stuck. And I want to get a clarify for that, because we've got the 10 of Wands in reverse here. He doesn't want to take responsibility. He's not ready to face it. Why? We've got 6 of Cups, the Star, and one more, and the 3 of Swords. So this could be that they're still in their own third-party situation. And so they're wishing about moving this forward, with the connection forward. But in real terms, they're not actually free to do that yet. They physically cannot take responsibility for moving this forward. But neither have they truly walked away with this 6 of Swords in reverse. It does feel like karmics have been an issue for you two for some time. I feel like you've danced between each other while still trying to maintain other relationships. Perhaps you've just stayed friends and this connection's never really got off the ground, but there's this simmering intensity between you. It's very, very highly sexed. There's a huge spark of chemistry here, and this person really does see you as their happy ever after. But it does feel like, even though it's heating up, even though this person suddenly caught the addictive energy and this divine feminine's let it go and is kind of, you know, running into the wind to have fun, there is also this heavy weight of karma that sits beneath it all. And I feel the masculine's still wrapping it up, but they never quite move entirely out of your zone of awareness. I feel there's unpredictable, but still relatively frequent communication. With this connecting energy being the King of Wands in reverse, again, this is neither person taking control or taking action to make it happen. Both sitting here with their own feelings, not really meeting in the middle in a direct or authentic way, just kind of trying to move through their own cycles, I feel. But for sure, this masculine is really pumped. He's really, really feeling the love. Now, as far as feelings are concerned, this divine feminine is a little bit turned off at the moment. You know, that sexual energy is strong, but when she's in avoidant energy, it just doesn't feel quite as sexy. You know, she likes being... She prefers to be submissive, and right now she feels very much in control. She's very aware that she's got her masculine kind of on the chase, and actually it makes her cringe a little bit to kind of see him acting out the same sort of behaviours that she may have done in the past. It's been a bit of a turn off, but it does make her feel powerful. It makes her feel confident, and she is committed to working through these cycles and energies. And there is an awareness that it is just a cycle that's ongoing between you two. You know, so the feelings here are very self-absorbed and self-focused, a little bit smug to be finding yourself as being the one in control. As I said, lots of divine feminine runners today, but again, it's just not in balance. And yet I think this divine feminine knows this. You know, I think this divine feminine really understands the push-pull energy that's at play here, but she is committed to change. You know, she is committed to restoring balance and harmony. She's just having a good time while she figures that out. I don't feel a great deal of stress here. This genuinely feels like it's a divine feminine that's finding herself again, and there's real joy in that. You know, reconnecting with old friends, going out, having a social life again, letting your hair down. Again, I feel like moving on from a previous connection has created a big release of pressure that has kind of put a rocket up her bum, and he's given her this impetus to just rush forward with so much happy, so much joy, so much enthusiasm and excitement for the future. They're actually really lovely, happy energies, even though there's a lot of stress around that. Even some fear, you know, can I do it? Can I manage on my own? I feel like now you're actually there. You're like, oh my God, why didn't I do this years ago? You know, this is amazing. I feel great. It's like this divine feminine is being reborn. She's still tangled up in the energies of the connection. She's not resolved it, but she's not putting pressure on herself too either. It's quite a nice energy. And so she does feel very in control. She does feel a little bit smug for her counterpart. And there's definitely still a chemistry and attraction there. But she's definitely got the upper hand here. And that's a turn off for her. You know, she likes a dominant man, not a dysfunctional one. This divine masculine with 9 of Pentacles in reverse is just feeling less than good enough. You know, they're also feeling like their life is overall too unstable on a material level to really kind of create any productive change here. The 5 of Cups in reverse is heartache. And it's really so interesting to see this present on the masculine side instead of the feminines. You know, this is the masculine regressing. This is the masculine needing and wanting. And certainly with this Five of Cups, this is the masculine grieving. You know, but with the Eight of Wands, they're also very fearful of reaching out. And this is the energy that the feminine's been in. Do you remember feminine when you were like, oh my God, should I send this text? Should I not send this text? What should I say? Should I reply yet? Should I wait? You know, this is the same energy that they're now in. They're panicked. They're scared. You know, they're triggered by a sense of loss. I feel like they told you they just wanted to be friends and you were just like all nonchalant about it. Kind of, okay, whatever. And it's, you know, it's really triggered them. And now that they've had time to kind of reflect upon that, there's the energy of regret here. Very similar energies across all three piles. Like I said, it annoys me a little bit. But it's definitely a different situation, but quite similar. We've got the Queen of Cups in reverse here as connecting energies. And, you know, this is two people that aren't really being honest when feelings come to the surface. I don't believe that either one of you has really said, oh my God, I feel so much intensity. I've got these big feelings. It goes really deep. You know, I don't feel those conversations have been had. And so neither person really knows where the other stands. It's still kind of this little dance or this game that you're playing, skirting around each other, no one really revealing how they feel. The feelings are there, but no one's prepared to share them. No one's prepared to bring them out into the open or to put their cards on the table. And so this inhibits them from a broader layer of understanding and awareness of, you know, where they're meeting each other on the bridge. But this masculine's scared. They've also put their existing relationship at risk already. So they're already going through that pain. You know, there is this energy here of regardless what happens over here with the feminine, they know they need to unravel that. They're hoping they can make that work. You know, when I say make it work, sorry, they're hoping they can bring it to completion. They're hoping they can wrap it up, as in, you know, make that move forward in a productive way. There is this need to be alone as well. It's not just a need to be with you. I feel that the situation they're in anyway, they've tried to play happy families for some times, but it's kind of, it's just toxic. You know, they're recognizing now that it's just toxic. Extricating themselves is another thing altogether, though, is what I'm hearing. And in terms of what's shifting, I do think that this masculine told you they could only be friends because of the relationship. Because we've got the Seven of Swords in reverse. As much as this person wants to rush towards you, they don't want to go and move into that betrayal energy again. You know, they don't want to cause any disruptions in the lives of the people close to them, the lives of the people they'd be letting down. They don't want to cause any disruptions in your life either. The Knight of Swords, again, such similar cards showing up in all the piles, but the Knight of Swords is about communication. And it's not deep, authentic communication. The Knight is adolescent energy after all. So we're not, you know, we're not flowing with like massively deep emotional maturity here. But for sure, there is a powerful shift happening. You know, there is a desire to speak up in a more meaningful and authentic way than what there was before. But there is a reluctance to actually move this forward. And so I do feel like this whole connection right now is on pause. That energy came through a lot with pile 2. And, you know, I'm hearing it's because it needs to be. You know, everything is as it's supposed to be, so there's no need to worry about that. But your person is definitely feeling that impulse to come forward and to open the lines of communication again. They may do that in a very straightforward and friendly way. Again, they're afraid to face the intensity and the intimacy of this connection because they don't want to rock this karmic world any more than they already have done. You know, they want to try and part from that with as much dignity and integrity as they can. This is also someone who's scared of the consequences. They're scared of how the world will perceive them. They're scared of leaving because of how many people it lets down. I feel that there's children involved for a lot of you. And they're scared of how their own family, their friends, their work colleagues, you know, they're scared of judgment. They're scared of being that person that leaves, being the person that leaves the kids, that leaves the family. You know, there's a lot of pressure there, and a lot of guilt and shame. And so, you know, this is why they ask to be friends. It's not because they don't want you. It's not because they don't fancy you. It's not because they don't want to jump your bones. It's because they can't face themselves in the mirror as that dishonest person, as the disloyal person. They don't want to be that energy. You know, they want to do it properly this time. There's a lot of shame here. And they're also very scared that this divine feminine, you know, is going to judge them by the same brush. They're aware that this can create trust issues in a relationship later on. And so they're really kicking themselves. You know, I do think this is a fairly evolved divine masculine. This feels like someone that may behave in a very juvenile, fun and flirty way, but they actually have a lot of depth. You know, they're quite confident when it comes to moving into their emotional body and exploring that. It does feel like they can get stuck there sometimes. They have a tendency to dwell on what doesn't serve them. But overall, this person's definitely got a high level of awareness, understanding, compassion, and the capacity to look at self, which I think is what initially attracted you to them. You know, you really like a partner who knows their own weaknesses and strengths, someone that can demonstrate humility and really be aware of their own misgivings and wrongdoings, you know, and accountable for that. I think you kind of have this idea of genuine strength from these character traits, you know, that you do hold them in very high esteem, and they do you. In terms of what's shifting for the divine feminine, you know, the Seven of Wands is the fighting card. It's fighting for what you want. And it's really interesting. We've got the Five of Cups showing up here as well. That I do think you're going to be working through the energy of grief and resentment. What's coming up for me is that your masculine is going to be blowing hot and cold and perhaps giving very mixed messages. On the one hand, they're quite sad. They're really upset. They just think you've moved away, that you don't care, that you're seeing other people, that you're just getting on with your life and they're now irrelevant. And it feels like they may want to confront that, and that there may be a need to kind of defend, justify, or protect yourself. But you've got to be really careful here, because what's happening is a transfer of energy. You're both processing wounds connected to guilt, fear, and insecurity. And it's almost like, you know, you're triggering each other. And so Arthur's asking you to be in awareness of that. When those triggers present and you get that rush of ugly feelings, you know, don't project it back outwards. You're being asked to go within. There's no decisions to be made for you right now, pile 3. That's to say you can just relax and allow everything to go with the flow. And this may seem a contradiction to the very enthusiastic, kind of impulsive, driven energy that's behind you right now. But specifically as far as the connection's concerned, everything is moving as it's meant to. And even though there's kind of some conflict on the horizon, it's processing a lot of unresolved grief that was stuck. They're actually kind of doing some work for you, and you're going to be activated by this exchange. And it's going to have the same kind of, what's the word? The same kind of, oh, this is really going to annoy me. The same kind of impact, you know, that they're going to come at you with this energy that's theirs, but something about it triggers and activates you to recognize yours. There's grief in you too, that you're having too much of a good time to acknowledge with all of these distracting behaviors, you know, and just keeping yourself busy, keeping yourself very social. You know, I don't think this is something you're expecting. It's a deep layer wound that's being brought to the surface. The connecting energy here is the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Now, when the pages come up, they're all indicative of messages, but the Page of Pentacles is a particularly slow-moving energy. You know, it's a planning energy. It's, I'm not taking action yet. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still strategizing. I'm still trying to figure it out. And so, again, you know, it feels like things are stunted or delayed somehow. Like there's such an intense push-pull vibe about this that no one's quite taking that next step. But again, the guidance to you is don't make a decision. Trust that it will move in the way it wants to. Your person has this impulse to speak, but you don't need to know. You don't need to take action. You just need to let it kind of unfold on its own. Right, let's get some oracle cards and charms for guidance as well. So this is the Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine Reunited deck. And for the feminine, we have got Transcendence and Thor, God of Action. And for the masculine, we've got Unconditional Love and Joy. Oh, lovely energies. Let's get some more from the Divine Abundance deck. We've got Expansiveness and Freedom. And from the Animal Spirit deck, we've got the Elk and the Tiger. Second time the Tiger energy showed up for you too. And finally, from the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, we've got Guilt. Oh, yes. And we've got Passion. Oh, yes. Okay. The guilt this person feels is a duty of care to the family they created and the babies they've had and the energy that they've nurtured and cultivated. They're having to learn to let go of what they thought they wanted and do what's right for themselves. I'm hearing this isn't an easy process and it's not going to be quick. They were also left by a parent. I feel they might have parents that were divorced or come from some kind of broken family unit. So it's not a decision they take lightly because they remember the trauma, the hurt, the pain associated with those experiences they had as children. So there's a tremendous amount of guilt here. And, you know, I do feel that this karmic situation they're in, even though it's difficult and toxic, that the person they're with is, you know, at heart a decent soul. They do their best. They've at least been trustworthy. But it just feels like there's a strong energy of codependence here as well. Look at how she's actually chained to the ironing board and there's a little halo above her head. This for me sounds like martyr energy. You know, I feel like this person has backed your divine masculine no matter what. You know, it's kind of like they've tolerated all this shit and marched on and really fought for this connection. And this is where that guilt comes in. And look at this person in the background. You know, so very sad, lost in their own thought. There's a bottle of vodka on the table there, you know, using unhealthy coping mechanisms, blaming themselves, dwelling in that guilt for wanting their freedom. And it says, I no longer want this fiery ring of resentment to block the good release. To block the good, release me from its bonds. You know, they feel trapped. You know, they feel resentful that they're in this energy. I don't think they feel very valued or loved in the connection. I think even though there's a lot of simpatico there and a lot of kind of mutual vision, mutual understanding, there isn't a great deal of real affection. And it feels like both these people feel lonely. Elk energy. Again, it's all of these childhood wounds that are being deeply triggered. This person's gearing up for a battle that they know is going to be hard. It feels like World War III. It's like Armageddon, you know, and they're scared. They're scared to face it. They don't want to be, you know, that person. The divine feminine, transcendence, action, passion, expansiveness, and tiger. Eternity is far more creative than the rigid, constrained, and exhausted ego. And this is what transcendence is all about. This is number 3 card. It's divine feminine energy. Look at this, literally expanding, transcending who they thought they were, growing into someone bigger, someone more connected, someone more aware, taking action towards that independent self, taking action for self. This is a very self-focused energy from the divine feminine. As I said, I feel like she's already found her freedom and she is reveling in it, you know. But there is a passion here for communication and for sharing her experience that she feels blocked from explaining as well. Lots of sacral energy, lots of inspired, enthusiastic action. And so again, you're being asked to curb your impulse to rush forward, you know, to curb the energy here, not to trip over yourself in your attempt to convey whatever it is you're feeling the urge to convey. There's a message here to take your time. We can see here this lady reading to the other, you know, from a purple book, reading from their intuition. So you need to channel your passion into writing, and it needs to be presented in a presentable fashion, in a coherent fashion. It needs to be congruent with your truth, is what I'm hearing. You know, this person is perhaps too wounded to receive it all. They will not always be able to feel into what you're trying to say and take the truth from it. So I think this is why writing it down is going to help you edit it in a way, in a mindful way. You've got to think, you've got to try and put yourself in your shoes, is what I'm hearing. You've got to think about how it's going to be received and how you may inadvertently, you know, move away from what you're trying to actually achieve, which I think is authenticity. I don't think it's a specific response for a specific outcome. It feels like you're trying to just be true to yourself. There doesn't seem to be an ulterior motive here other than to step into your power, and I love that. You know, this definitely feels like a divine feminine that is comfortable taking this connection and situation in her stride. As I said, it's because she's enjoying her freedom. She's enjoying exploring her new reality and really flexing her muscle in terms of what's achievable. But this desperate need to communicate needs to be really well thought out and really well prepared if it's going to be received properly, because your person isn't as healthy as you. Look at this. This represents like this princess, royal, glowing, you know, really positive energy. Whereas this person looks infirm. They've got a stick, you know, then the chair, they haven't risen yet. What does this say? It's a newspaper. So, you know, trying to get information, trying to understand what's happening in the world. You know, and I think they appreciate how passionate you are when you do share from that place of authenticity. So there's definitely a powerful message there for you, pile 3. Let's get some charms. Okay, see what we've got here. Okay, we've got the clock. We have the sun. We have, oh, the bitch spray. We've got the tape measure. We have the party animal sloth. And we have the white rabbit. Okay. Do you know what's interesting about these energies? That I feel that the divine masculine is the one that's actually sat in frustration and impatience. It feels like the divine feminine is actually taking it all in her stride and having a good time. Again, with the sun, we've got this very, you know, happy, joyful, quite youthful, naive and pure energy, you know, not with no agenda, as we came up before, just a, you know, let's just enjoy life, let's just be happy and have fun, this beautiful expansiveness that's showing up. And timing, you know, I'm really drawn to how the 1 and the 3 on this charm are hidden in the pages, and 1 and 3 represent, of course, magician, high priestess, empress, or divine feminine energy. 3 is the number of creation, abundance, divine femininity. And again, I just feel like this divine feminine isn't worried about time. You know, they recognize that this time to focus on self is time well spent. There's a real energy of acceptance and not a great deal of impatience here, but perhaps, you know, a little bit of bitch spray. You know, that you're being asked to measure and temper your communication here, because I think there is a little bit of simmering resentment for this person because they did reject you initially. And so there is some kind of twisted pleasure in, you know, being back in control in this situation. I think that you need to address within yourself. There's a shadow coming forward there. And the white rabbit. Now think about the white rabbit. He just wants to be somewhere else. I'm late. I've got to go. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. But there's a powerful message here about, you know, you're exactly where you're meant to be in the present. And again, this is the frustration that I feel for your person, or feeling from your person. I feel like for them, the clock is ticking. You know, they want to be free. They want to start over. And this party animal sloth, they see you having fun and they're like the sloth that's not really having a party. You know, they want to, but I feel that they're very, very stuck right now. They're very resentful. They're very guilty. You know, this is the energy of someone that doesn't know how to extricate themselves from the situation they're in. They don't want to face all the guilt and the shame that's going to transpire as a result of it if they do extricate themselves. But you've inspired them. You've inspired them. You've inspired them by taking what makes you happy. And you've done it with kids on your back, is what I'm hearing. You know, you have been really brave. You know, they're looking at the situation also with a family and they're like, wow, okay, you know, the divine feminine's owned this and I've got a lot to live up to. But if they can do it, I can do it. So it does feel like they're very much inspired by your transcendence, by your expansiveness, by this power and passion that you're bringing into your own life. You know, this drive which helps you move forward in such an inspired way. These are such beautiful energies, pile 3. Okay, I'm going to take this over to the extended. We're going to go a bit deeper. I want to understand more about how you're thinking and feeling about one another. And I want to get messages from both counterparts as well as to how you can best support one another. Of course, we're going to look at more at what's shifting. Pardon me. So if this resonated for you, you can find the link for the extended reading in the description box below. If I don't see you there, thank you so much for tuning in with me here. I really appreciate you joining me. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all of your donations. Big thanks to those of you that watch my commercials. You really are so generous with your time in that way. It super duper keeps my channel ticking over and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and thank you for your beautiful comments. I love to read them. I love hearing how you guys relate to the readings. It absolutely makes my day to get such beautiful feedback. So thank you to those of you that take the time to do that. If you would like to check out my services, you can find all the information on my website. I'm still booking Spirit Release, but my classes are sold out and my diary is currently closed for private reads. But if you are on my mailing list, you will be the first to find out when classes and readings open again. So make sure you sign up. It's at happysouls1111.com. And you can also find me over at Instagram, which is happysouls1111. See you next time, pile 3. Bye.